The Emerald Tablet, Chapter 7. Jack Gets Them in Trouble. They walked down Moo Way toward the ruling hall. Even without a map, it would have been pretty hard to miss, what with the shining gold onion dome on top. Jack popped into existence. Breathtaking, isn't it? He said, seeing the looks on their faces. That's putting it mildly, Iva said. Her mouth hung open as if she were trying to find just the right words to describe it. Why does it look so Indian? Oh, the architecture of Lemuria has influenced architecture all over the world, in nearly every country on the globe, Jack answered. Skyscrapers are even a fad in some parts of Lemuria. Are they as tall as Taipei 101? Heidi asked. What's Taipei 101? Andy asked. You really need to get out more, Andy, Iva scolded. Taipei 101 is only the tallest building in the world. Andy turned redder than a tomato. Well, that's not quite true. Taipei 101 looks like a toy model compared to some of the buildings in Wonder Sky City. But you won't find any skyscrapers in Moo. They have restrictions on height here, Jack said. The sky let out a loud rumble of thunder. Lightning flashed, and then the rain started coming down in sheets. Heidi and Iva immediately tried to cover their heads with their hands. Can we go in now? Iva asked. I'm getting soaked out here. As they ran into the building, they passed through some sort of chamber, entering soaked from the rain and emerging completely dry. Hey, what just happened? Heidi asked, running her hand through her now dry but brown hair. I don't know about the color change, but we did just pass through a dehydrating chamber, Jack said. They're automatically turned on when it rains or snows. Heidi held out a lock of her hair so she could see it. You don't look bad as a brunette, Benjamin said. Yes, but I'm blonde, she sighed. They exited the dehydrating chamber into a long, wide hallway with scales as tall as the ceiling on either side. The scale on the right sat in perfect balance, the sign above it reading Lemuria. The scale on the left tilted slightly, but was still stable in its unbalanced position. The sign above it read Atlantis. They show the strength of the shields around the sunken continents, Jack said. Benjamin moved closer to get a better look. What keeps them balanced? Well, the outward pressure from the barriers presses down on the left, and the inward pressure presses down on the right. He waved his small hand at the Atlantis scale. Atlantis won't last more than 10 years. And then what happens? Heidi asked. Well, then the continent rises, and the people of Atlantis are free to roam about on the earth, where they'll no doubt seize control and enslave the human race again, Jack answered with a shrug. So what are we doing to stop it? Iva asked. Lemuria is trying everything it can, but not much seems to help, Jack replied. If you have any ideas, I'm sure the Deimos twins would love to hear them. Jack gave them a tour of everything. It was true, the ruling hall was endless. He obviously had been here before, many times, so when they turned a corner and found nothing but a closed door, Benjamin figured maybe the Nautical was just playing a trick on them. But Jack leaned in close. It's the ruling chamber, he said. You know, we can go inside as long as no one sees us. Sounds great, Andy replied, already walking toward the door. He leaned against it, waiting until no one was around, and then opened it. Quick, hurry. He motioned the rest of them inside. Iva looked torn, but hurried after Heidi once she realized she was the only one still outside. Andy quickly shut the door behind her. The ruling chamber of Lemuria, Jack announced, levitating over to one of the 2 thrones settling upon the large velvet cushion. Yep, here's where all the big decisions are made. Really? Iva asked, her large brown eyes taking in the surroundings. Well, probably not, Jack admitted, but it's still a cool place to visit. They only open it up once a year. Suddenly, Jack's eyebrows creased. He sat still, as if in deep thought. Finally, he spoke. I just found out I have to leave to attend to some other stuff. You're leaving? Will you be back to finish the tour? Iva asked. No, I don't think so, but you'll be fine, Jack said, and vanished without another word. I think we should go too, Iva said. Iva's right, Gary said. We shouldn't be here. Let's go. But I was just getting comfortable, Andy said, sitting down on one of the thrones. I can see that, a voice said. 5 heads turned to look in the direction the voice came from. 2 figures stood side by side and very nearly identical in appearance, except one was a man and the other was a woman. We were just going, Benjamin said, hurrying toward the door. A sick feeling in his gut told him who these 2 people were. Without introducing yourselves, the female asked, isn't that a bit rude? Benjamin froze, unsure what to do. Did he dare just walk over and say hello? He looked at Andy, who was still sitting on the throne, a horrified look upon his face. Thankfully, it was Gary who took control of the awkward moment. "My name's Gary Goodweather," Gary said, walking over and extending his hand for the couple to shake. "Gary Goodweather," the man repeated. "It is a pleasure to meet you." They shook his hand in return. "My name is Helios Deimos, and this is my sister, Selene." "So you two rule this whole world?" Heidi asked, walking over also. "I thought so," Selene Deimos replied, "until I saw your friend over there on my throne." Andy bolted upright off of the throne. "Yeah, I'm really sorry about that." He walked over and introduced himself. "We kind of ended up in this room somehow, and I was just taking a break." "I didn't want to come in here in the first place," Iva announced as she walked over, "but Benjamin's friend Jack made us come in." Helios and Selene turned and focused their attention on Benjamin. "Is that so?" "Yeah, I guess so," Benjamin replied, "but he's a Nautical." Now why had he gone and said that? What did it matter whether a Nautical led them into the ruling chamber or not? "So you have a friend who's a Nautical?" Helios asked. "Quite unusual, but as coincidences go, I know Jack the Nautical also. So any friend of Jack's is a friend of mine." Benjamin felt relief wash through him. So it had paid off to mention the nautical connection. He'd have to remember that in the future. "I'm Benjamin Holt, by the way." "It's a pleasure to meet you, Benjamin Holt," Selene Deimos replied. "Now, please continue your visit of the ruling hall, but in the future you may want to avoid areas not on the main tour."